Welcome back to another Techos Productions video. In this video we're going to be doing a bit of real estate photography and I'm going to give you a few tips on how to do it properly. So this is the rig we're going to be using for our real estate photography. Now we're going to be using the 10 to 18mm lens from Canon because this has a wide angle focal length, which is going to be really helpful for making the space look wide and spacious, which is what you're going to want to do. We're using my Canon 700D as the body for this setup, and the reason I'm doing this is just because it's the body I have. Obviously if you have an R5 or an R6 you can Okay, so now we're going to take our first photo. This is of a hallway when you're greeting people into the house. This is the first thing you see, and you want to make it look right and welcoming. So I'm just going to turn on all the lights to make sure that we have a ton of light coming into the shot. So I'm going to put the f4.5. I'm going to go at the 10mm focal length because I really want to show that space this house has. So we're going here and we're just gonna take the shot. And there we go, that's the shot. Now of course, I'm gonna, because we have to get as many photos as possible when you're doing real estate photography, because there's no second shoot, it's all just one shoot. So we're gonna turn the camera on its side. Of course, I can see what I'm doing by the display on the camera. And we're gonna do a second shot. Of course, now I'm going to do one with the flash enabled because that will give us more options in post. Alright, so here's our next shot, and our next shot is literally just going to be facing up the stairs because we want to showcase that this is a two-story house. Of course, if it helps, you can do manual focus because that helps some people, some photographers. I am personally going to use autofocus because I trust Canon autofocus and I feel like it'll give me less room for error. Okay, now let's take another shot. Okay, and now since we got a few in landscape mode, I'm going to turn the camera on its side and we're going to get a few in portrait mode. And if your camera has the luxury of it, but mostly the Canon series of cameras and the Sony a7S III will have this. If your camera has an articulating LCD display or a flip screen, as a lot of people might call it, you know, the vlogger screen, that is very handy for doing this type of photography and it will help you immensely. Okay, so we're here in the living room. We're going to do a living room shot now. One thing you have to make sure, no clutter. Just make this place look as appealing as possible. So if there's any clutter on the windowsills or anything like that, don't get that in the shot, but work around it. Put things behind couches and back obviously, or put things to one side of the room. But for the most part, make sure that you're not going to be doing anything that will make it look not. So I'm gonna take a shot now, and of course always be wary that you're going to want to get as much in the shot as possible. So here we go, and of course you're going to go to the other side of the room and you're going to take the same shot, and because you're taking the same shot on either side of the room, you're going to get as much in the frame as possible. If you want to stitch it up later, you can stitch it up later, but for the most part you got it. Okay, so I didn't film outside, but outdoor shots are pretty much the same thing. Unless you're using a drone, you want to go at least 30 meters or 40 meters if you want to get a drone shot, a nice oblique shot. However, outside I just took the ultra wide lens and I just put a 10 to 18 millimeters like the rest of the shots, and I just took a few varieties of shots and I chose my pick from there. This is the final shot that I took. And that was a bit of photography. Yes, okay, I know, I'm not the first person to do this. Yeah, I know that. But I think it was a really interesting experience for building up my own brand because I am hoping to build a business, and
maybe this might be the way to build a business. Obviously, some key aspects I learned from this. Wide angle lens is a necessity, and you should always have as much light as possible in the frame, because generally low light isn't the feature of these lenses, and you want to showcase that there's good lighting in the building. Obviously this video was filmed on an iPad Pro for the most part, so if you like the quality, that's the iPad Pro, and if you didn't like the quality, blame the iPad Pro. And that's essentially it. Thanks very much for watching this short video, and I'll catch you next time.